Peace and love, Moors, and I'm recording this first before I post it. And happy holy day on this day of Mars. And to those of you who are new to my page, I'm Antitutal. I'm a Moor at the North Gate, and I want to do my best to cover things that I actually want to share with you. Sometimes when I get to going, I get taken in a whole nother direction, and I don't even talk about what I meant to share with you. So peace and love to everyone. And if you are on my Facebook friends list, you may want to come over to YouTube and subscribe to my channel so you'll get notifications when I'll do my videos. I no longer post my videos like I used to on Facebook anymore. You have to come to YouTube to see my videos. All right, so I'm going to do my best to wrap this up as quickly as I can. I know I always say that, but it never works out that way. And before I begin, I want to go to the east and reach out to Enki. I want to go to the west and reach out to our great Pharaoh Akhenaten. I want to go to the north and reach out to our noble Drew Ali. And I want to go to the south and reach out to our noble Charles Mosey Bey, Mother Tiamat from creation, Ruth the Moabite mother, my grandmothers on both my mother's and father's side, Ham and Cush, the serpents, the dragons, the jinn, all those avatars who did what was right and stood in law and truth to bring us this knowledge so that we may be on course at all times. And as I'm speaking to you, I'm sharing with you knowledge that the cosmos has revealed to me. And there's much going on, folks. And you're going to find that you actually have more power than what you think. You've been tricked to believe that you're just a lonely person on this planet, and all you amount to is to get up and go to work, pay bills, pay taxes, get sick, and die. You've been indoctrinated that way. Stop thinking like that. There's been a concerted effort to keep you nice and stupid and nice and dumb. No more. Those days are over. And you must recognize that. There's been a propaganda put out there so that you'll be distracted. You'll never know the truth. All right? So you got to stay focused. You must stay focused. Now, the reason why I tell everyone, go to the ancient map of Pangea. I posted it on my page many times. I've had a lot of feedback on that. And the reason why I tell you to look up Pangea, because in order to understand the Circle 7, Chapter 47, in order to understand that, you got to look at what the earth used to look like so you can get the gist of what Noble Drew Ali is telling you. Now, in the Circle 7, Chapter 47, if you pull up the ancient map of Pangea, which shows all the continents together, I had someone write to me and say, but that was millions of years ago when man did not exist. This is what this brother said to me. He said there were no people on the planet. Remember, we're taught only dinosaurs lived during that time, right? This is how deceitful the Europeans have been. They lied to you. Open up your Circle 7, Chapter 47. You got to read it. Egypt, the capital empire, the dominion of Africa. 1. The inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. 2. Old man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. 3. His father Ham and his family was second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominion of Amexem, the first true and divine name of Africa. The dividing of the land between the Father and the Son. You must pay attention. Many will not get this. First there was Cush and his family. Then it was Ham and his family. But nobody's going to catch what that means. Cush and his family. Ham and his family. I'm going to touch on that. The dominion of Cush, northeast and southeast Africa, and northwest and southwest was his father's dominion of Africa. In later years, many of their brethren from Asia and the Holy Lands joined them. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa, they were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan seeking new homes. Pay attention. Their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa. Now you got to look at the map of the African continent. Their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa across the great Atlantis, even unto the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands, before the great earthquake which caused the great Atlantic Ocean. That's in your circle 7. That is in your circle 7. Now, I want you to go to Georgia House Resolution 1203. Starting on line 3. Now, I just read to you from the circle 7, right? By Noble Drew Ali, right? He was a 360-degree Moorish Arab. 360. Few on the planet could top him. And he gained respect from world leaders because of his knowledge. He spoke the law and truth. Now, Georgia House Resolution backed it up. Starting on line 3. Whereas the Moorish Americans, whose ancient forefathers are the mothers and fathers of the human family, stand in these days as the Comanchean descendants from the ancient Moabites and Canaanites, who were permitted by the old pharaohs of Kemet to traverse from East Africa and later foreign kingdoms, extending from northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa and the Atlantic Islands on to the present-day continental Americas. So you got to realize, when Noble Drew Ali said to the Moors, in line 7, their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa across the great Atlantis, meaning the Atlantic Ocean, even into the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico, and the Atlantis Islands. Now pay attention. He says, before the great earthquake, which caused the great Atlantic Ocean. So he's telling you, today there's a huge water mass called the Atlantic Ocean now. Africa used to be one huge landmass, one continent. There was only but a river that separated. That's why the Moors, who are also known as the Ibri or the Saba or the Sabian people or Semitic people, the dark-skinned, copper-toned people. That's why it says those who cross the river. The Ibri, which many will say Hebrew. Like Brother Taj has said many times over and over again, it wasn't a belief system. It wasn't about the gods. The Canaanites had many divine creeds. But they had to comply with nature's law, divine law, and jurisprudence. But regardless of your creed, you are one people. Ham and Cush, the first. Old man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. His father Ham and his family was second. Then came the word Ethiopia. So if it's telling you, nobody's telling you who the first people were, there was no Kemet then, during Ham and Cush. It hadn't happened yet. Atlantis hadn't happened yet. Lemuria had not occurred yet. It started with Ham and Cush. Y'all gotta get this thing. Now, there's much more to cover. And when I tell you, you got to know everything, you really got to know everything. You really do. And as you gain knowledge, you apply it to your life and you be done with it. The Yazidi Black Book, Story of Creation. The Black Book Story of Creation is similar in that it involved the first male and female. The Black Book Story of Creation is similar in that it involves the first male and first female, named Adam and Eve, in the English translation, who bear children. However, it differs significantly from other Abrahamic religions in that Adam has children of his own accord first, in a squabble with Eve over who's responsible for begetting the human race. They both emit their seed into jars. After a certain amount of time, they open the jars and find that Adam's jar has a male and female child in it, whereas Eve's jar only has worms. This is the only known Adam and Eve story that has the male, Adam, birthing offspring autonomously. Let me go back. I'm going to see if you caught it. I'm going to see if you all really know how to do critical thinking and pay attention. I'm back at the Circle 7, chapter 47, starting on line 2. Old man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. 3. His father Ham and his family were second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominion of Ametson, the first true and divine name of Africa, the dividing of the land between the father and the son. I'm going to read again. The story of creation. The Black Book Story of Creation is similar in that it involves the first male and first female, named Adam and Eve, in the English translation, who bear children. However, it differs significantly from other Abrahamic religions in that Adam has children of his own accord first, in a squabble with Eve over who is responsible for begetting the human race. This is the only known Adam and Eve story that has the male Adam birthing offspring autonomously. Grand sheiks and sheiks, y'all gotta start telling the truth. All the Moors not taught that the gods put their thumbprint on the union between man and woman. Are we not taught that? Is it not promoted among our people that there's only one way to do things? One way. Yet, they ain't going to touch this knowledge. They're not going to teach you that. Because remember, dogma will get you stuck. Dogma will have you judging things and judging people. And you don't know the whole story. You don't know the whole truth. There's more to the story. Now I'm reading this to you for a reason. Because you got to wake up. Dogma don't work. You got to know the truth and the whole truth. So unless that grand sheik or sheik has not reached at a level yet, they're not going to know to even tell you. But I'm telling you, do your due diligence, you'll see for yourself. It's right there in the Circle 7. The Yazidi Black Book, Story of Creation, is similar in that it involves the first male and female, named Adam and Eve in the English translation, who bear children. However, it differs significantly from other Abrahamic religions in that Adam has children of his own accord first. In a squabble with Eve over who is responsible for begetting the human race. So help me understand, grand sheiks and sheiks. If God put the thumbprint on man and woman, because when it comes from divine, it's law. So I want to know, during creation, why would the man squabble with the woman over who's responsible for begetting the human race? Because I don't have time to go deep into it, but it also says in that Yazidi Black Book that the gods had to step in because the plan wasn't working. Oh goodness, y'all just make me do more work and more work and more work. Y'all don't study. Y'all don't read. In the Anunnaki Bible, page 62, before Adapa returned to Earth, the assembly of the Anunnaki stirred, because Anu was not the sole creator in the universe. Chaos stirred, for the mind of darkness was known to be a liar. When it spoke, I am God and there is no other. When, after Adapa had returned to Earth, the assembly of the Anunnaki met with Anu, chief creator, the assembly asked, isn't this creation, man, who is made of the image of God, going to be the ruin of us and our plans? The Anunnaki and the Gigi murmured among themselves, the God had been made from the heaven and earth. It had determined that another was to be made in its likeness. They determined in heaven, let us also fashion females, by which the man will fall in love with. And the lesser gods delighted in this decision, for they feared. Listen, so you get it, and stop judging. And the lesser gods delighted in this decision, for they feared the rise to power of this new God. We are the powers of this age. Now that's them talking. We are the rulers in this age. Let the children of light serve us. Let the children of light be slaves for this entire age. Back up. Back up. Back up a minute. I'm going to read to you again from the Yazidi Black Book. The story of creation. The Black Book story of creation is similar in that it involves the first male and first female, named Adam and Eve in the English translation, who bear children. However, it differs significantly from other Abrahamic religions in that Adam has children of his own accord first, in a squabble with Eve over who is responsible for begetting the human race. Still don't get it, do you? I'm going to read this part again out of the Anunnaki Bible. It had determined that another was to be made in its likeness. They determined in heaven, let us also fashion females, by which the man will fall in love with. And the lesser gods delighted in this decision. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? Keep listening. For they feared the rise to power of this new God. Wait a minute, back up, back up, back up. Let us also fashion females, by which the man will fall in love with. And the lesser gods delighted in this decision, for they feared the rise to power of this new God. We are the powers in this age. We are the rulers in this age. Let the children of light serve us. Let the children of light be slaves for this entire age. Wait a minute. You mean to tell me before it was like it's set up today, there was a time when the autonomy between male and female, they were their own species? Huh? Because it says right here, they determine in heaven, let us also fashion females, by which the man will fall in love with. And the lesser gods, delighted in this decision, for they feared the rise to power of this new God. Many of you still won't get it. That's why some are called and some are not. Some are chosen and some are not. Because in this mundane world, it's set up to keep you busy. So you don't know. You're all caught up in nonsense. You don't even think about these things. I'm going to take you to the law. The law of gender. This law is mutable and can be changed. This universal law of gender is evident throughout creation in the so-called opposite sexes, which are found in human beings, in plants, minerals, electrons, magnetic poles, and throughout nature. Everything and everyone contains both masculine and feminine elements. Among the outward expressions of the feminine qualities are love, patience, intuition, and gentleness. And the masculine qualities are energy, self-reliance, logic, and intellect. Within every woman lies the qualities of a man. Pay attention. And within every man lies the qualities of a woman. To be a complete being, one must balance the expression of their masculine and feminine qualities and live in harmony with themselves and their environments. Many out there playing, acting a fool. Y'all got to slow down. Study. Studying and reading is two different things. You must absorb what you're reading. Digest it. Apply it to your life and live by it. And stop playing games. As I said many times, I'm a Gemini sun with a Gemini rising and a Leo moon. My number is 3 and 0. My number is 3 and 0. For all you adepts out there, I have a Mercury retrograde, Saturn retrograde, and Neptune retrograde in my natal chart. There are 3 significant aspects in my natal chart that have been busy all my life, and more so today. This is a copy of my natal chart. You ain't seen nothing yet. It's even busier than this. This is just a printout of the basic natal chart, but it goes deeper. One of the aspects in my natal chart is a fixed grand cross. Fixed. And I have a grand trine in the 3 water signs. Now, a fixed grand cross deals with security, resources, and self-worth. It calls for the fair distribution of money and assets, and for hard work to replace a victim mentality. What does that mean? What does that mean? A fixed grand cross. A fixed grand cross is Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. A fixed grand cross. Those astrologers out there that know how to read a natal chart, you'll see what I'm talking about. You know it ain't no joke. I have a fixed grand cross in my natal chart that occurred on the day I made my solar return. On a Wednesday, June 6, 1962 at 5:15 a.m. in the city of New York, northwest of Mexico, northwest Africa, the North Gate. That grand fixed cross deals with security, resources, and self-worth. It calls for the fair distribution of money and assets. What are they talking about? If you'll recall a previous video that I had done, and I explained to you, Moors, you came here to complete a mission. We can't keep making the same mistakes like our ancestors have done. If you're breathing today, tag you're it. Because you have a job to do. You didn't come back to play. You didn't come back to party. You did not come back here to get high. You did not come here to focus on mundane stuff. You came back to correct what our ancestors failed to do. Now, there's going to be those who don't want that. So be clear. So if you're caught up in nonsense, and your job and your 401k and nonsense to keep your mind busy, you're not paying attention and you don't fully understand what you're going through and what the world is going through. You have a job to do. And it starts with the law, and it starts right there. Look in the mirror. Because it starts with you. The Moor, the Mason, and the alien. I got to make this quick. The Moorish legacy. A spiritual identity first and foremost. The Moorish legacy is this planet's lamp of illumination, which is the premier definition of extraterrestrial intervention via the Temple of Solomon. As such, the Moorish legacy represents the royal inheritor of the throne of power and the entire solar system, aka the kingdom, the royal estate. The Moorish people carry the genetic code that represents the legacy of the Ankhels, i.e. the angels, and are therefore the guardians of the Adam's covenant. Remember, I just read to you about the Zeddy Black book, right? You descendants of the land of Canaan. Are you getting it yet? Garden of Eden? Are you getting it? I'm going to read that again. The Moorish legacy, a spiritual identity first and foremost. The Moorish legacy is this planet's lamp of illumination, which is the premier definition of extraterrestrial intervention, via the Temple of Solomon. As such, the Moorish legacy represents the royal inheritor of the throne of power and the entire solar system, aka the kingdom, the royal state. The Moorish people carry the genetic code that represents the legacy of the Ankils, i.e. the angels, and are therefore the guardians of the Adam's covenant. A genetic and spiritual metamorphosis that transformed into the passion of the Christ, Christ with a K. A symbolic reference to the Moorish legacy as guardians of the covenant. Folks, you ain't seen nothing yet. Because what I'm sharing with you is knowledge that's normally kept between adepts inside of adept chamber. The masses would never get exposed to this. So, you're bad if you're not paying attention. You're bad. Now, I got to read this to you out of the Anunnaki Bible, page 225, Kitab al-Jawar, the Sermon of the Revelation. I'm going to read to you sections of that, starting with 19. He who is recorded as mine shall not experience death like other men. I punish those who do not adhere to the laws also in other worlds. I make visible my signs and wonders to those who will receive them and self-honestly seek them from me in their due season. The opposition of strangers to me and my followers do nothing except injure my cause, and know that they will be dealt with as is deserving. The ordering of the spheres, the revolutions of the eons, and the changing of their rulers are mine from eternity. Those who are not capable of reaching their appointed destiny, him I will chastise in my time, and will cause him to relive his former charge. Those who have undergone tribulations as martyrs for my sake will be compensated without fail in one of the worlds in my domain. It is my desire that all of my followers are united together on account that there are multitudes who are strangers to them and may band in opposition. Those observing my laws should reject teachings and dogma that are not from me. Honor my symbol and image. Let the mark of it remind you of our covenant and of what has been neglected of my laws and ordinances. And what is the law of Enki? To sum it up, stand in the law and truth. Speak the truth, live it. When Noble Joe Ali told you love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, that ties you to your nobility. It ties you to your ancestral bloodline. It ties you to the house of Pharaoh, Atlantis and Lemuria, the Akashic records. It ties you into all of that, you people of Sabah. Y'all got to stop playing. I've shared this many times. I did a rare genes test prior to nationalizing. I just woke up one day and I said, I got to do a DNA test. I went to a company. I said, I don't just want to do that 23andMe and that Ancestry.com nonsense. I want them to do FBI, CIA level. Dig deep. Tell me something I don't know. I don't need you to tell me that I come from Africa. That's a no-brainer. I wanted something to go deeper. Guess what they found, y'all? I did a rare genes test. Well, this is what popped up out of the house of Pharaoh. Here's another one that popped up. It's called the gypsy gene. you know anything about the gypsies, you'll know. The Khoisan out of southern Africa. The Khoi and the San people. These were called at one time the first people to walk the planet. These are rare genes that they found when they did that DNA test. It got me started on my journey. The Kilimanjaro out of East Africa. What did Circle 7 say? What did Georgia House Resolution 1203 say? Where are the Moorish Americans whose ancient forefathers are the mothers and fathers of the human family, standing these days as the Comantian descendants from the ancient Moabites and Canaanites, who were permitted by the old pharaohs of Kemet to traverse from East Africa the rain goddess gene out of southern India, the Tamil Nadu, another rare gene that they found in my DNA. Research that. Research those locations, the history, the migrations. I also told you, I'm not going to pull it out right now, but I've done it in previous videos, that when they did my European matches, Switzerland was #1. Switzerland, that little itty bitty nation in Europe. But Switzerland was #1. I asked the question, why? Because I did some research on Switzerland. Guess what I found? Guess what I found? The sovereign nation state of Switzerland is unmatched to other nations in Europe. And you got to ask the question, why? What makes Switzerland so unique? Again, I'm going to say again, my number in the cosmos is 3 and 0. 3 and 0. Adepts, are you paying attention? In the Yazidi Black Book, it is said that the Yazidi, when they worship, should turn their face towards the sun. Wednesday is the holy day. Wednesday is the holy day. Now bear with me one moment. I got to get myself together because I got stuff all over the place. The age of Aquarius. Aquarius, ruled by Uranus, begins with the freedom fighters and the truth seekers. Exiting is the old bondage of Piscean deception, replaced by the desire for harmony, truth, and humanitarian causes, marching strongly through the gates of the great age of Aquarius. This air sign represents a revolutionary period that ushers in a society of reformers who will see an absolute reunification of all things from a Messiah-type influence, whose pattern is reflected in the planet Pluto as reformer and promised reunification. However, a warning should be sounded loud and clear, as all is not as it seems. there is a great deceivement that also takes place with misplaced confidence. Truth and freedom. Remember, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, right? Truth and freedom will eventually reign paramount during this great age. The symbol for Aquarius is the water bear pouring out water. Truth as enlightenment from the heavens, air sign of Aquarius. The sign of Aquarius represents astrology, astronomy, outer space, space travel, science, and extraterrestrials. The great age of Aquarius may very well bring in the kings of the east, which are astrologers. The great spirit will then pour wisdom down from on high, and the truth will be written upon every heart. Found in this great age is the unification of all peoples and countries around the globe, and an end to the traditions that have held humankind in bondage for so long. Religions will be deemed a detriment to society and harmful to soul ascension. The knowledge of the age will be unlike any earthly traditional doctrine and dogma, for the wisdom forthcoming will emanate from the highest heavenly air sign of them all, Aquarius. Y'all really don't know what you're dealing with, and they're doing their best to keep you nice and dumb, and keep you praying, and keep you believing. Play back this video so you can know exactly what I'm talking about, and I'm going to invite you to get your Zodiac Constitution from C.A. Bay, your Clocks of Destiny 1 and 2. I want you to study the Hermetica and the Cosmic Doctrine by Dion Fortune. I have a few more of my own, the Book of Marduk, and I will always reference the Anunnaki Bible. And that's really about it right now. I don't want to delve too deep because y'all know me. I can go for hours. Literally, I could go for hours on this. And I have a habit on my days off. I study and I take my time, and then I will kind of doze off because I've been up all night, just stuff going through my head. And a daydream. I had a daydream that maybe lasted not even 10 minutes, but it felt like hours. What I drank this morning, it didn't vex me, but it kind of like, whoa, what's going on? How did I see this? Because when the cosmos, when you're in sync, when you are conjoined with the universe around you, it will reveal things to you. That's why I keep telling y'all, don't play with this. In this dream, y'all got to realize I used to be involved with the Jehovah's Witness. Through my mother, who's still in it today. But it was not my calling. I had to get out of that quick. Because I grew up Pentecostal holiness, other than my grandmother. 2 women. I followed them. I went from Pentecostal holiness to Jehovah's Witness. But that was only but a season. But I learned a lot, y'all. I learned a lot. Well, if you're from the New York area, if you've ever attended their annual conventions, there used to be a meeting hall in Long Island City, in Queens. If you've ever been there, do you remember what it looked like inside? If you've ever practiced masonry, if you've ever been to a Masonic temple, you would see the hieroglyphs and the columns reminded you of ancient Kemet, what you call Egypt today. And I never connected the dots. But I often, I used to wonder why, after I had left, what made them choose that building to hold their meetings in. Why would they do that? When they were so dead set against that knowledge that was taught in ancient Kemet. But when you look around, you see all this symbology of ancient Kemet. I remember that. It was in Long Island City. It's huge. In my dream, there was a stairwell, and it reminded me of the old part of New York. A lot of iron and that it's like a granite that they use on steps and stuff. 3 women who were young Moors, who did not know they were Moors because their behavior was so unacceptable to me that I challenged them in my dream. And I said, what are you doing? And typically, when you do that to a Moor who doesn't know they're Moor, and they're going by the status of Negro, black, and colored, they got a lot of mouth. And they started mouthing off to me. Then this female police officer walked up in uniform, in blue, dark blue, with a short haircut, and said, what's going on? And I said, these young ladies don't belong here. And she escorted them out. The door opened to the meeting room. Inside, I saw men up in age. On their faces was something so serious. Whatever they were looking at, whatever they were focused on, it was so serious to them that they had blank stares on their face. No one was smiling, no one was laughing, no one was talking, nothing like that. It was just a quick glance when the door opened up and I'm standing there by the stairwell. And as that police officer, that female police officer, was escorting those 3 Moorish women who did not know they were Moors, she escorted them out the building. And I turned and I looked. In this room were men dressed in uniforms. Whatever was speaking to them had their undivided attention. And then I woke up. But it shook me. Because I had to ask myself, what does that mean? And how does it apply to our world today? Think about that, Moors. You got a lot to think about. Get off them hard knees. Pick up a book. Do your due diligence. When you seek the truth, you must take your time. Digest it. Don't rush. Take your time. And apply it to your life. And do what is right. That's why you're here. You didn't come here to play. In previous videos, I'm going to wrap this up. In previous videos, I made a mention about the Secretary of the Treasury. I made a mention. The reason why I had done that, because you must know, and I just read it to you, Moors. That Constitution is a covenant. Our ancestors set that up with the European nations so that they would know how to do right. It's for them as they conduct commerce on your ancestral lands given to you by the House of Pharaoh. The Moorish legacy, a spiritual identity first and foremost. The Moorish legacy is this planet's lamp of illumination, which is the premier definition of extraterrestrial intervention via the Temple of Solomon. As such, the Moorish legacy represents the royal inheritor, the throne of power, and the entire solar system, aka the kingdom, the royal estate. The Moorish people carry the genetic code that represents the legacy of the Ankils, i.e. the angels, and are therefore the guardians of the Adam's covenant. So you got to stop saying white people, black people, yellow people, blue people. Moors, you have a celestial responsibility as guardians of the covenant. That's not a lie. You were given that task millennia ago, but you forgot. Now it's time you know. Play this video back if you didn't get it the first time. Take this thing seriously, things will change. If you're not in compliance with the law and truth that's emanating upon this planet, you don't get to stay. I don't care how many children you have. You got to get this right. So, when I tell you adepts 3 and 0, that's my calling. Look it up. If you don't understand what 3 and 0 means in the cosmos, that's your bad. You're supposed to know. So when I speak to you, you better take heed. I'm not doing this for fun. I do what the cosmos tells me to do. And I take it very seriously. If you don't know anything about me, you know there's certain things I don't play with. I don't play with this. Oh no. No. And I suggest you don't. You don't understand what you're dealing with. That's why I said what I said in the previous video. Steve Mnuchin, the Secretary of the Treasury, whether he realizes it or not, under close scrutiny of the cosmos, as a guardian of the covenant, as I am a Moor, the North Gate, in my proper status, in propria persona, sujura suheritis, and solo proprio, the cosmos has reached out to me and said, now you know. And it is your responsibility, Moor. So the cosmos has made it clear. And I accepted that. So when I speak on this, you got to listen. But when I told you not one hair on his head is to be harmed, I mean that. And I will call upon the entire arsenal in the universe to make sure that is clear. You would think, well, who are you? I'll tell you who I am. I will tell you who I am. Any astrologer knows it's not a joke. And you must take this ancient knowledge seriously. It's all esoteric. I have my reasons for saying what I'm saying. Switzerland was #1. Through the roof. Switzerland was #1. You got to look up what Switzerland is. Their history. What they stand for. They don't play. Gold and silver. Gold and silver. Grand fixed cross. Look it up. Because I just read it to you, but many of you just don't get it. As Steve Mnuchin does what he has to do on his end, as long as he complies with the law and the truth, he's fine. He's fine. Got nothing to worry about. Step outside of law and truth, you're on your own. You're on your own. as a guardian of the covenant, as a Moor as I am, I'm telling you, stay within law and truth. If you don't cry. Peace and love to you. Till next time.